What's up? What's up, everybody? Kalen Moss, Therion Thacker here, Minute Admin Crew. We're doing another study session for Marketing Cloud Developer, and we are going to set the timer for 45 minutes, and we're going to get it popping. So let's see. Over here in Marketing Cloud, we were in, Web Studio earlier today? And
Yes.
we were doing an AMPscript exercise where we did this loop challenge in a web page. We're creating it in a landing page.
Right.
And we were just using some ChatGPT to make the code. Right now, ChatGPT is at capacity, so it's kind of hard for me to log into there.
Seems like
And
all the coders are awake and making things happen.
awake, I love
Awake
it.
and making things happen. It's 2 p.m. Central Time, 3:39 Eastern Standard Time. So, everybody's waking up. It's time to fulfill that Jira board, that ticket board, all of the requests you had come in for changes. So let's get ChatGPT working.
Oh my gosh. Right. I love it. Just call them out. Just call them out. Dude, okay. So we were messing around with ChatGPT. It helped us make this. I just want to go back to this tab where in this video, we were doing this for loop. And in this video by Cameron Robert, we had this challenge that showed up here. And we were basically doing this AMPscript for loop challenge. So what we're looking at is this third loop here. So we made an AMPscript code block to find these 10 records, or basically count 1 through 10. We created a comma separated string of characters from 1 to 10.
Yep.
And that looked like, over here on the right, what that looked like was something that kind of looks like this, but basically where we have that at is we have that in. If we pull over this HTML down here, we can actually, no, that's not how we do it. We actually have to pull over. Let me do this. Zoom out, delete that, pull over content, ChatGPT block number 1 that we created, which looks like this. So basically what we had was this code block, this code snippet where we wanted to using a for loop, create a comma separated string of characters from 1 to 10. And what's up, Josh? What's up?
Josh, family. Here he
Yes,
is
sir.
every day with us.
Every day learning.
Love it.
So we create a comma separated string of characters from 1 to 10 without a comma at the end of the 10. So we have this code block and we set a variable. It's called result. We could set that to anything. For I, and then we did the for loop for I equals 1 to 10.
We're creating our counter. We're creating our counter.
Yep. Do this. So basically it's saying do this thing. It's saying if the result variable does not equal a blank, is not blank, right? So if result is not blank, then set result to concatenate the result and then put a comma at the end of it. So that's where I just kind of want to run through the for loop again. So we set the for loop, we set the variable, then we set the for loop, and then the if statement says if the result is not blank,
right,
then do something.
So if the result is not blank, then set at result to the concatenating function we've just set to result in, what do we got here? Parentheses, comma, parentheses, and then end if, right?
Gotcha.
So concatenating is we're just stepping down the ladder, right? We're just stepping down the ladder, creating these blocks. Okay,
Gotcha.
so end if, and then end if end if happens, then set at result equals concat at result that we set up in the beginning, right? The blank. Okay, up at the very beginning to at I. And then proceed to give us the next at I is what I'm reading it as. That's a loose translation, but that's what I'm feeling.
Dude, this is why honestly I look at it and I'm like, I'm looking up if statement, AMPscript. I'm like thinking about how important it is to just stay in the conversation of coding when you're
absolutely.
learning.
It really is a conversation of coding, because every time we see a comma, we know that we're diving into a different function or faction of what we need to return, right?
Yeah.
Rather it be a lookup, a return, or a concatenating or waterfall function that drips down through each number that we need to return as we build out this table.
Right.
Yep. And I love it. The most of the times that I've heard concatenating has always been in Excel, of course.
Yep.
But it's wild to hear it here.
So honestly, this is giving us the entire. So let's just run through this. The language elements of AMPscript. So we have constants. So we have number and string constants. So they consist of an unquoted set of numerals and can also include one decimal point and an introductory minus sign to indicate negative values. Numeric constant values cannot contain commas.
Okay.
So it's dot. So so a constant is literally just like a number,
right?
Or string,
or even if a blank, like even if it's zero.
Even if it's zero.
Yep, even if it's
string
zero.
Or text constant values must use double or single quotes. They can escape the delimiting quote if they appear within the text by doubling it. The system does not recognize alternative quote characters such as smart quotes. So a constant can be a number or a text, like or string. String means text.
Oh,
so
look
these
at
are
this.
all in strings.
String value, and doubled single quotes will be rendered as the return.
Okay. And then Boolean constant values must use true or false and are case insensitive. So Boolean those can be constant. So true, false, doesn't matter if it's capitalized. Okay, so now we know I at least now know what a constant is.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Attribute and data extension, custom object values.
And scripts reference subscriber attributes, email attributes, and data extension column values as unquoted strings. If the attribute, data extension column, table, or relationship name includes a space or special character, enclose that value in square brackets to recognize that certain thing.
Oh yeah, so if it has a space or a special character, make sure it's inside of a bracket, square bracket,
to identify that special character or case.
Subscriber attributes, email attributes, column values as unquoted strings. Okay. You can define additional email attributes within the email and use them in substitutions or as parameters in AMPscript function calls. So, the Marketing Cloud must enable the use of additional email attributes. Marketing Cloud must enable the use of additional email attributes for your account. Contact for any questions. Keywords. Okay, so what that told us is basically attribute data extension values, like just gave us a kind of a, like you have to, if they have a space.
Yeah, it gave us some direction, and it also gave us some barriers, if this attribute, data extension column, table, or relationship name includes a space or special character. And I wonder if that special character includes a hyphen. Let's say if we were doing Spanish or another language, if that's encapsulated in that section as well. And then we enclose that value in square brackets. So that's interesting, depending on what we're returning.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Keywords. Declare, initialize, and modify variables in the script. Script statements and functions can then reference those variables.
Right.
A variable declaration, when you declare a variable, consists of the keyword variable followed by one or more comma delimited variable names.
Got it.
Variable names must begin with an @ sign and include at least one other letter, number, or underscore. You can't use spaces and commas in variable names, okay? A variable assignment consists of the keyword set followed by the variable name, the equal sign, and the value. You have to declare variable, var @ variable.
And this is really telling us, Kalen, like, hey, by the way, your keyword that you use to identify the variable you're trying to use needs to be identified in this way. So set @ Kalen equals @ Kalen Moss's Nike shoes is you're going to be your it's just giving the very blueprint of how we're going to develop these keywords and set variables that we're using.
Yep.
And what it all really underlies with is the data relationships that we set up from the beginning, right? So, our variables are going to be set on once again, the data blocks that we looked at when we're developing a data relationship from one data extension to the next. That is going to allow us to eventually set that at times primary key variable or variable that we need to set. No matter how unique it is, we need to set that variable to equal this thing.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay. So variable. Wait.
Count.
Oh. Wait a second. A variable assignment consists of the keyword set followed by the variable name, equal sign, and value.
Which we've been doing.
Yep. What is this declare var variable?
So we're just declaring, right? So we haven't seen this declaration, we'll call it. We've just been setting what we need as a variable to function as so assignment that we create for so variable, right?
Okay. I'm trying to figure out. Declaring a variable with the var keyword adds an entry to the variables
dictionary with
name as the key and null as the value. If an entry for that name already exists.
But remember, when we look at declare var @ variable, var @ variable is no different than Nike @ Nike shoe. It's no different than any other data extension we've worked with. We're literally declaring a variable that's at this variable. So that's really what it's saying. Declaring a variable with the random keyword adds an entry to the random dictionary you've created within this section with the random variable you've just named as the key. And it initially sets said so variable to null as the value, unless you set that said so variable to an identifier that we need for the for loop, right? So like count, a perfect example here, count 1, count 2, count 3. We're always setting like 0 to 10, 0 to 9. Don't overthink what we're looking at here. That's all I'm stating. So var @ variable is basically us declaring whatever at whatever. And then we set at whatever to whatever to this constant function or attribute, right? So we can't overcomplicate this area here. We're naming and we're setting what we've created.
Oh, gotcha.
So perfect example, right? You get a Lego set of a Ferrari, okay? And Ferrari's based around Ferrari red. But there are yellow pieces in there that identify those yellow pieces of that Ferrari. So what we need to do here is we need to declare at yellow pieces as at this yellow piece variable. So when we go to design this Ferrari in an engineering perspective, we can set, hey, by the way, at yellow pieces equals at these yellow Lego pieces, whether it be 2-piece, 4-piece, a block, a fat block, a small block. But what we're doing is we're just setting that up for the system to recognize this. So it is the basis of what we are identifying the variable that we need to use before we even create the function for it, right? So we need this yellow piece in this Ferrari Lego build to perform this function. Either it be the mirrors, maybe the shifter, maybe a little imprint inside the Ferrari that has the horse on it, whatever it might be. That's all we're doing here.
Okay.
Yep, that's all we're doing here.
Declaring a variable with the var keyword adds an entry to the variable's dictionary with the variable name as the key and null as the value.
And remember, the variables dictionary is what we're building as we go along.
The variable sets to okay, gotcha. If you use the variable to control.
Think of the bigger functions we build out and we set all those variables at the beginning. And then towards the end of the function, we're still using that set at I, set at R, set at whatever we need this to do, this for loop to do when we call upon it. We're just naming the commands that we need them to do in this design.
Gotcha. We're just putting them into existence.
Honestly, we're making them, we're giving them life.
Yeah.
And ability to control things in our syntax.
Variable simple. Okay.
So here's here's our operators. We're just diving down into our operators. So here's the syntax that we've created. And then here we dive into our compare values.
Okay, yeah.
Which is going to take you right back to data technology, right?
Yeah, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to.
The same symbols, dude, in all coding.
Operators.
It's the same.
Right. I would hope
never
so, man.
changes.
And or
not. Like if not, if this expression returns false, then not, it reverses the Boolean expression we were just trying to perform.
The not operator reverses the result of any Boolean expression.
Yep.
Control the expression evaluation using parentheses.
Right.
Boolean expression and Boolean expression, or Boolean expression and Boolean expression.
So this is a very wide open, like very bare bones express. I mean, you got to just replace Boolean expression for each one of your conditions that you're creating. Do you like pink shoes? Do you like red shoes? Do you like yellow shoes? Do you like Ferrari red? Do you like BMW black? You know, whatever it might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Using if syntax, if condition, then, else if, condition, then statement, else statement, ended. If, use the if statement to perform conditional processing.
Yep.
Else if, use the else if statement to perform conditional processing also. Right. Multiple else if statements can appear within an if block. Else, only one else statement can appear in the if block. End if ends an if block, only one must appear at the end.
Yep. And remember, so we've almost traveled backwards from where we started.
Excuse me. Gotcha.
We've almost traveled back. We're really breaking down those little sections and functions of logic we were creating with code. So we're going back and we're like, oh, by the way, this is why you have an else if here. This is why you have an end if here. This is why you have an else here. And this is the condition that allows it to continually function or end.
If statements may nest within if statements. If expression. Okay, so these are just super vague.
Yeah, this is
codes.
blueprint stuff here. A perfect example is taking me and you back to our Nike descriptions, right? How many boxes do we have to check off before we hit purchase? We have color, size, sometimes width, sometimes whatever, maybe kid size, men's size, female size, whatever it might be. These are all of our if statements, right? Every time we hit one of those blocks, it goes and checks the data extension. Let's say that shoe's not in stock right now. It's going to give you what? Not available to order, right? It's going to give you a red cross across the buy now. So that's what all these statements are doing. Yep. Every time we go shopping and we want something, this is what's going on in the background.
The optional else if statement. Gotcha. Okay.
Now imagine connecting these if statements to what we would consider our stock of shoes currently in the Nike warehouse, right? So all of this is going back to our original function of let's look at an Amazon warehouse and where all this data is stored. And how do we want this data returned for the customer specified on their needs and wants?
Gotcha.
And I love your example of pink shoes, right? Because who's buying pink Jordans? It's like one of the most minute shoes probably in the Nike repository are pink Jordans. So when you select pink Jordans, think of how many comparisons, how many if statements looking for your size, your style, your width before it gets to that shoe and it returns to you.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the not keyword reverses the evaluation. Just
right. It's like, yo, those aren't in stock. Those aren't in stock.
Opposite day.
Yeah.
Okay, and if that's not true is what it's saying. Or
yeah.
Gotcha. Expressions can include any of the input types. Okay.
Constants, variables, attributes. And it's just basically telling us all the things that we can use for it to return, hey, these aren't in stock. If these aren't going to be available till, June 2024. We can put you on a waiting list, though. And then guess what happens? We create a journey outside of this for a waiting list for that new drop of Jordans in pink.
Right.
Right.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around what the heck this is saying. You're way ahead of me, bro. You're giving me real use cases. I'm trying to read these sentences.
Rosalie said, I want my pink Jordans.
Oh, snap. I'm like, hey, you got me feeling like you're the AI now. ChatGPT over here. I'm like, hey, I can't keep up.
Okay, so if we honestly take it back to your days of understanding data, right? What's the point of having all of this data is to do something with it. And all of these things that we're learning right now is how we tell the system to use the data that we've collected and created for our customers.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're just pushing it to certain places.
Whether it be PIMDOS with a super intense loop of connecting it for 5 data extensions, or just Rosalia trying to find pink Jordans in kids size. Because she's tiny.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's literally it. It's just manipulating the data.
We are creating the assignment for the data to return what we need for our project, our program, or our campaign.
Yep.
Yep.
That's it. That's literally it. But I'm trying to figure out the syntax here. One sec. So if the call doesn't include the compare, so if we don't have
pink Nikes or pink Jordans,
if we don't have comparison operator,
right?
Then it's saying that the system assumes that an equal operator with a comparison value of true is set.
Mm-hmm.
So if not empty,
then
this example demonstrates how to include a variable with a value and leave that variable out if it does not include a value.
Right.
Mailing address, This example shows how to include a variable with a value.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And leave that variable out if it does not include a value.
Yeah. So if the variable we're looking for doesn't have a value, like if
mailing address didn't exist.
Yeah, like if Josh's Fire Red Nike Jordans weren't in stock, he's going to get a, hey, you can't order these. If Rosalia's pink Nike Jordans weren't in stock, they're like, oh, yeah, those don't exist. See you later.
It just really goes to show how, like, the data ingestion process is extremely important.
Yes.
B, knowing how to manipulate data and actually really spending every single day doing that. That's how these companies are growing. That's how these companies are getting bigger.
Yeah.
You can't do anything manually and actually expect to grow.
Let's just be honest, Galen. And let's be honest with everybody here with us.
I'm listening. I'm just going to go on mute for a second.
Nothing is as more important as the data, because we can't assign, delegate, tell, or command any process that we want to make happen without the data that we need to fuel this process, right? So I think a lot of the issues that me and you come into as being instructors is the fact that we just don't have, a million names, 500,000 names to create substantial data returns like we like to for our students at times. But what we can say is the blueprint facts of, if the data isn't there, it's not going to return anything. And we need to make sure, and there's sometimes that maybe that data is there, but we haven't created the correct relationship with that data for maybe Joshua, Rosalia, Naga, whoever it might be requesting a new pair of Nike Jordans, right? But if we need to make sure, even if it's not in stock, we take care of them. So this in turn implements what I don't know how much you see it, but I see it a lot of times. Hey, send me a notification when it's back in stock, right? What does that open us in? What does that open us into for a data perspective? That opens us into a journey where the journey is only fulfilled by an automation that checks the stock of that shoe in that size and then sends out that email like, hey, Rosalia, we got kid-size Jordans for you in pink in stock. Hey, Josh, like, we've got your Fire Red and Jordans in stock for you. So if we don't have our data correctly set up, we're already failing for the commands that we need to create from that data. So data relationships are one of the most important things ever. No matter how scattered they are and how many DEs that they're based around, we have to create that relationship from what we would consider our original data extension throughout each one of these little selected areas that we've collected customer information, right? To provide what we need to respond to the customer when they go shopping.
So it all begins with
clean data. Clean data, dude, for sure.
So I'm just thinking, like, because that's blowing my mind now. I'm like thinking about how, you really, all right, think about it like this.
Yeah, hit me.
You have a portion of a business. Let's say you start a business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you start a new business, or you're a consultant, a freelancer, whatever it is, right? Or you're just a subject matter expert in the Salesforce space.
Right.
You work with a client, right? I'm just thinking, I'm thinking from a business owner's perspective. Like, if I'm going to do a specific piece of business, there are so many data points at every single step of that process of just that one specific area, a line of business that you do. Like, let's just say, for example, let's just say you have the example of you help people, you tutor people in math. Let's say you tutor people in math. And you say, what is every single intricate step that you need to do to get a kid who is a math student a on that test?
Right.
There's an intricate step-by-step process that you followed to make that happen, right?
Yep.
So the first step is, what is that process, right?
Right.
What is that exact process? The second step is, what are the data points at each step of that process?
Right. What
Every
variables
single
do
piece
we
of
need to
data.
consider? Yep.
So that right there is what I am now seeing as, how do you automate? Okay, so like that's the first step, right? So you think about what are those variables, like you just said, what are those variables for every single intricate step of that process?
Yes.
And then how can you collect all of those intricate pieces of data, right?
Right.
So you got to think about what's the process first, and then you got to think about what's every data point second. Then you got to think about how do you collect all of those data points. Then you got to think about how do you make action? How do you actually action those data points?
Right. Well, I mean, you say collect. So by collect, let's talk about where we're grabbing our data points from. You know, we have to think about how many forms our company is using, our client is using to collect data, right? And every time they collect data, they're going into a different DE that is identified by possibly a different variable or a different numerator or whatever it might be. So we create that data relationship in between, like we talked about, primary key on one section might be just customer ID, on another section, on another D might be ID, on another data extension it might be customer number, but we're just aligning each one of those relationships to connect all of the information in each one of those. So when we delegate that variable to an assignment, right? So we say @Kalen is going to return all of this. Okay. So every time I call @Kalen, he's going to give me my student's ID, what variables my student needs to improve on, what circumstance, whatever that data extension might be that's containing the information that we need to return, is our job to collect that based on the business requirements we were given.
So who in the world, like, I'm just trying to think. I don't know.
It's a lot of work, dude. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of meetings. Yeah. Okay. First of all, let's start at our goal. Okay. What do we want to return as the goal? And we can reverse engineer, like me and you've been doing for so long, to the start of that information to reach that goal. So this for loop process that we're learning right here, this is just to go through the information to search what we want to return. This isn't even as imperative as the actual desired results we want. We're just parsing. We're literally parsing giant data extensions of information to go, hey, by the way, if this variable matches this, I need you to let me know, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, when we talk about grassroots learning here in our journey together, we've definitely taken a step backwards from almost where we started in AMPscript, because we were already creating these things. And now we're actually deciphering what we're creating with the documentation. And prior, we were just doing it on our own, right?
We're just doing it.
We're just doing it buck wild. We're just figuring it out from the help docs. And now the help doc is like, oh, by the way, what this really means to you is this.
Breaking it down, bro. Like a break dancer in the 80s.
Absolutely, dude. It's like the most simple robot, dude. Like you're literally just moving one bit at a time, dude. Just one bit at a time.
Bro.
To eventually get to a dance, right? Like, Every one of these little like mechanical movements we make is getting us to our goal, but we need to reverse engineer that goal based off of the data we've collected. Maybe that data is not even there for us.
Right.
Maybe we haven't even collected the right data. Right. So we can't actually even provide the correct results. You know, maybe Rosalia's pink kid-sized Jordans never even been created. Maybe that's just not even in the regimen for her to pick or select from. So the data is the root of not only our successes, but our problems.
So that leads me to this. Every single time you gather requirements, you have to start with the end goal in mind.
Oh, reverse engineering is one of the most successful ways to decipher any problem. Yep.
So you have to start with, what is the desired result?
Yes. What do we need to make a perfect recipe for what we want to return for our clients?
And then it comes down to the next step, I guess. If you're backtracking, you're saying, what was I saying? It's data.
No, you're on track. No, you're completely on track. So we just talked about what we need to give to the client, right? So then we need to talk about how we achieve getting that result to the client. Okay, which is right where we're at right now. Like, how do we parse through this information to give back what we need as a result, as a trackable statistic, as a clicks to open, a call to action, whatever it might be. But before that even happens, dude, before we can even develop any of these parts, we got to have clean data, right? Like, we got to understand the data that we're collecting and how it has been put together and how we can develop the relationships from step one to step whatever they have set. Like, imagine if one data extension only contained all of your customers' pant sizes. What if one data extension only contained all of your clients' pant length sizes? What if one data imagine if you're collecting all of these random pieces of data, right? And now you need all of these data extensions as you've created the relationship to return. Oh, by the way, Josh needs this pant size by this pant size, boot cut, in dark denim, whatever the fashion might be. So all of this data is just out there that we're collecting from customers, and we're creating with profiles on websites. And it is up to us to bring all of that together and make it and marry it to the code that we develop. So that's all before the code. And then we develop the code, and the code is just to parse through all of these data functions that we've created and these variables that we're tracking to produce what we need as the ideal result for the customer or client, right? So, goodness gracious, project meetings and team meetings are so important when we're talking about data relationships and how we want to create the end result for the customer that we're trying to reach. Whether it be for jeans, shoes, healthcare, video games, I mean, whatever it might be.
So this is what we're really looking at.
Yes.
So what we're looking at, the end result is your business process is automated.
Absolutely. And that's what we're doing with the for loop.
So the code is the hands of the retail agents searching the racks for the item we are looking for. You're
exactly right, Josh. Yep. So perfect example, Josh, what Josh is talking about. Let's just say you're a retail person at your favorite clothing store, right? And they're scanning in the clothes that you're getting ready to buy or you're getting ready to return. All of that is data collected into a data repository for that customer. We can now look at that data extension that we've collected about what the customer's been purchasing, be like, oh, they really enjoy khaki. you know, they really enjoy this.
Oh my God.
Like these cats are going on a safari, or these cats are going, you know, to the art museum, whatever it might be. I'm just making silly examples. But yes, Josh is completely correct. It doesn't matter if it's a clothing store, Starbucks. It doesn't matter where you're buying something from. When you scan that bad boy at the register, that data is collected, dude.
Dude, you know,
even if you were a random customer and you aren't on file, that data is collected, because guess where that data goes? Oh, all of these people haven't signed up yet.
Right? I think they still have your credit card number.
Yep.
And so once you sign up, let's say you sign up and you register to be a Nike customer and you link your credit card, it says, boom, we remember that credit card number, bought this stuff, and this person finally became a customer 6 years later, link that credit card if they still have the same one.
They're going to recognize it.
And it can find that this has been this person the entire time.
It's in there. It's all in there. It's all in there.
But what I'm saying right now is, go ahead.
So let me tell you about, before we end, I got to tell you about one of the newest data conspiracies right now of our time that I've learned about. So everybody does these genetic testing websites, right? Where it's 23andMe, whatever it might be. Okay, wait. Listen to how deep this goes. So nobody actually reads through the fine print. That data they collect on you from your blood test can actually go to insurance companies, healthcare companies, and it can honestly, in the long run, down a deep road that we're going to eventually hit, they're going to depict your level of insurance and your level of lifetime coverage based off of that little test you took all those years ago.
Yikes.
It's dangerous. Data is dangerous.
You know what this I just thought about with that? They're going to I know this might sound, this is scary to even say.
No, it's not scary, because this is where we're living right now.
This is where we're living. You know what I'm thinking? Say they have all that data on you from all that genetic stuff, all of the testing, all of the everything, right?
Yeah.
And what you just said about they give you your life insurance, that means they can predict your lifespan.
That's exactly.
Stop, bro.
Dude, they look at your genetics and be like, yo, your parents died early. All your grandparents died. You're going to die too. Like, we're not approving you for 60-year life insurance.
Dude. I think that's going to be like the most like sad thing to like, I mean, obviously like nobody's like perfect, but it's like, it's going to be like one of the most sad days, that first person who gets like, this is the age you are going to live to. Like, and it's like, with 95%.
Yeah, Josh said, you have been purchasing a lot of honey buns, my friend. You're going to get an email from your healthcare company like, we noticed we've been tracking your vending machine credit card purchases, and you've been buying a lot of honey buns. Your blood pressure's high.
Oh my God.
Kaylin, we're coming to that society, my friend. We are coming to that society. Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Josh is like,
mind your business about my honey buns. Because listen, anybody that's bodybuilding, honey buns are a great, just instant carb loading snack.
Dude, so this opens up my mind to having like a way more detail-oriented way of thinking about data now. Because it's like, how are you going to automate a process if you don't have the data for it?
You want to make it really naughty?
What?
Everything that has a barcode on it is getting tracked.
Yeah.
Lemons, oranges, salad, everything you buy has a barcode on it. It's all being tracked by the grocery store. It's all being put into a data extension on how many of those they sell. It's all being produced into a report of what they need to restock. That is eventually handed off to a marketing team to establish what this grocery store needs, what it's selling, what they can remove from the shelves. It eventually is breaking down the process of eliminating, and I hate to say this, It's eliminating our independence to choose something new for ourselves, because eventually there's not going to be anything new, because nobody was picking that for a while, and they eventually just removed it and now it's gone. So the thing that you wanted to try is now gone.
Yeah.
Because why would they stock it? Because they're losing money. It's not selling. The barcode isn't ringing. It's all dying in the back end with rotten produce. And now they're not going to stock it anymore. Yep. It's weird, isn't it?
Very intricate.
It is very intricate. Start purchasing organic so they won't subtract pesticides from your life cycle.
Hey, Josh is with it today.
Josh is like, I know, bro. I actually know.
Dude, I'm just like mind blown at like you're right. It's like we're looking at this page and it's like this is really the detail oriented microcosm of how all this is made up.
Yes. We're literally looking at how we get through the data. That's what we're looking at. How do we get through the data and return what we want?
So let me ask you this. What do you think is the best way to learn how to code? Is it by doing this, or is it by doing what we did and actually doing the code and then coming back and being like, oh, that's what it did?
Dude, I would have to say, I mean, you know me personally, and I'm hoping the audience knows me at this point. I love to dive in right into the deep end. I don't care how dark the water is. I don't care what's down there. That's how I'm going to get the full immersion, right, of the subject that I'm studying. Coming back to this, I feel is absolutely essential for somebody like you, because you're still getting a grasp of this blueprint level. So yeah, this is great, but I think this is great for you to come back to now and be like, bro, what are they saying? Oh, real? That's all it is. Those eye-opening moments for me and you, even as I explain it, or even as I dive into it, are so key. They're so key.
Because all this literally is a way to, like you said, it's a way to parse our data in a logical format.
Absolutely.
So I think, go ahead.
And I think sometimes in our positions, whether it be architect, developer, admin, email specialist, project manager, learning and development, wherever it might be, I think a lot of the times we get into these areas where we're so focused on what we're doing, we forget the roots of how it got to the point that it did.
Right.
So the overarching umbrella is sometimes forgotten. Of what's contained under there before the rain even hits it. You know what I mean? Yep.
And I think that's why, honestly, if you understand how the data works and how the data, like a conversation like this, like just having a conversation like this, like once a week or twice a week or every day, it shows you how when you're an architect. I just thought about like this conversation I was having with an architect last night at the Salesforce user group meetup, and he was talking about some stuff, and I thought to myself, the only thing extra that you need to know as an architect, the difference between an architect and just someone who's just starting, is if you have an strong understanding of like how the data works and how it powers everything in the system, everything from the beginning to the end and in between is powered by this data. And then you think about dynamic content powered by data, AMPscript powered by data, personalization strings powered by data, journey builder powered by data, automation studio powered by data, interaction studio, CDP. Everything starts with putting the data into these data extensions, and then literally you have this repository of this data. You say, what do I want to do with it now? And every question you ask is based around, if I understand the data, I can ask any question in the world. If I understand how they want their data to be manipulated, I can be like, what email messages do you want to send? Do you already have the email messages set up? What sort of automations? Where is the data sitting at? Where everything is questioned around where the data is and do you have the data and what can it power? Right?
Absolutely. Just like you said, this loop that we're looking at right now, what do you want for me to return to the customers in each email that equate to these variables that I have set and the conditions that I've set that you want me to pinpoint, right? the people that haven't responded in 30 days, 45 days, 90 days, the people that responded yesterday. You know, that's all we're doing, dude. That's all
it is.
If we don't have data, we have no for loops. We have no coding. We have no AMPscript. We have no journeys. We have none of it. Without the data, we are homeless.
Dude.
We're homeless tech gurus. That's what we are.
Bro, that is insane. Thank you for opening my eyes up to this today.
Yep.
I appreciate that. That is huge.
Dude, it's huge. I mean, all of this is great, but if we can't do anything with any of this, if we don't have clean data and we understand the relationships we're trying to build for what the customer or client wants back in return.
Yeah.
I love it, dude. This is a great session. Thank you for to just venting about data and this process, because I feel like coding is so overcomplicated, but truly coding is kind of like raising a child. You tell that child what to do and you expect a return from your child from assigning that task to it, right? Whatever that variable might be. The first time taking out the trash, the first time mowing the lawn, like you measure those results and you give feedback and you grow from that. But that's all we're honestly consultant, architect, developer, admin. What we're doing is we're handling the collection of data.
Yep. That's it.
Yep.
Hey, speaking of that, you know what's next? I'll see you.
Minute admin out, baby. Thanks for a great session.
Dude, thank you. Thank you.
Rosalia, Josh, I appreciate you for being my guinea pigs for information. I appreciate both of you.
And anybody else watching.
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, talk to you later.
Yep. Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, baby. Let's go. Bye.
See you later.